I didn't even realize that I wasn't even be able to speak. Yo, 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 what's up? What's going on with y'all? Um, my volume was not on. That's crazy. Anyways, what's going on? Welcome to Diplomatic Community Reloaded. This shit boy Nino. I did not feel like really creating content as far as like pre-uploaded content, so I decided let's live stream. If you're watching this later, please like, comment, subscribe, which I know a lot of y'all are. Hit that like button, of course, smash that, share this with everybody. But yeah, so basically we talking about Lil Durk's bond hearing and him getting denied bond once again. So Lil Durk's denied bond again despite legal wins over lyrics. Now, if you don't know what that means, Durk's lawyer has been pretty much going on a legal press run regarding Durk's case. If I was Durk, I would have fired his lawyer, but I guess the lawyer stated that Durk actually gave him permission for it. I would have did that. But anyways, Durk's lawyer made it pretty like was relying heavily on the lyrics being the reason that got him indicted, and I doubt that the feds is just going to like just indict somebody over just some lyrics. But it was like a fan made video of Durk, and he had released a song, or he was going to release a song. It got leaked, and on the fan edit they had Quano Rondo screaming no, so they thought that Durk was like mocking him or whatever, but that was never the case. But anyways, Lil Durk's legal situation has got even more intense. The Chicago rapper born Durk Banks was denied bond again. Hold on, let me switch this over here so you guys don't think I'm like not looking at the fucking screen. Was denied bond again during a court hearing on Thursday, May 8th, in connection to a high-profile murder for hire case. As reported by Rolling Stone Nancy Dillon, Durk pulled up to court with about 20 supporters in attendance and managed a smile. Despite the judge shutting down his team's request to release him while awaiting trial, Durk's lawyers were pushing hard for a dismissal, or at the very least a bond release. Their argument: the prosecution case is flimsy, relying on fan-made internet posts and his rap lyrics. As I stated before, that's what that was like, super like heavily relying on what they state they were. They told the court that ain't enough to justify locking him up before the trial even begins, but the judge wasn't having it and agreed with the prosecution, keeping Durk behind bars for now. So the prosecutors dropped the lyrics, still claimed Durk orchestrated a hit on Quando Rondo. So in a twist that slightly works in Durk's favor, the prosecution reportedly removed his lyrics from the case. Instead, they'll focus on the other forms of alleged evidence to try and prove their claims. Authority says Durk set up 2002 attack on Quando Rondo out in Los Angeles, allegedly as revenge for the 2020 killing of King Von, who was just a collaborator but Durk's close friend. And that's another thing that's crazy, because like the one person that's on Durk's case, it's Von's cousin, and supposedly he's the one who actually put up the money. I dropped a video about that recently, about how they were going to drop Durk's murder for hire case because Didi and OTF Didi and Vonnie, who is Durk's cousin, actually was proven to be the ones who paid for the murder. But I digress. It says allegedly as a revenge for the 2020 killing of blah 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 blah. The shooting left Quando's Ronald cousin Lil Pab dead. Prosecutors claim Durk arranged, funded, and facilitated the hit like it was a business deal. Of course, Durk and his legal team strongly deny all of it. The case touches a deeper nerve of hip-hop once again, so we're not going to do all that. Basically, Durk's trial is set for October 14, but what's next for Little Durk? We're not going to get into that. We're going to get into something else a little bit deeper. So, this right here states Lil Durk linked to murder for hire charge and fatal shooting of Stefan Mack allegedly tied to his brother D-Thing's murder. So they're trying to get bro on whatever they can. And what's crazy about that is the person who supposedly killed the person who killed Durk's brother, or however that goes, he left a cell phone in the car. he wasn't tied to Durk. He just knew somebody who knew Durk, and the dude actually ended up being on $1 million worth of game. But anyways, let's read this right here. Little Durk has been named in another filing, which is connected to a murder for hire plot involving the death of Stefan Mack. And this is probably why the judge wasn't trying to let him go. Like, bro, you're tied to too many freaking murders for hire. DJ Academics was talking about they've been wanting to do for a while, and we're gonna watch that too. We're gonna watch what DJ Academics actually said that he heard that Durk was going to get indicted before Young Thug even got indicted, which is crazy because if that's your boy and you're actually talking to him, why not tell him? But earlier this month, Durk attorney spoke with TMZ and stated that there is no real evidence against his client, arguing that the prosecution is misreading his rap. Damn. Hey, team, clip that out. Oh, I ain't got it to you. Oh, shit. I mean, y'all know that's some good-ass weed. Woo. Okay, so according to the Chicago Tribune, the latest update surfaced in a warrant application that was initially filed back in April 2023, but it didn't get unsealed until Wednesday. The report claims that Durk is implicated in the January 2023 murder of 24-year-old Stefan Mack, who was shot and killed while leaving a youth center in Roseland. The Tribune also linked the shooting to the 2021 murder of Dante Banks, Mack's brother, who will be Durk's brother, who was killed outside of a nightclub in Harvey. Mack suffered gunshot wounds to his head and chest and was pronounced dead at a hospital at 40 years old. A 40-year-old security guard at the youth center was also shot in the leg but managed to survive. Now I want to talk about this right here. Like, I was watching this video with DJ Academics. I don't know if I should play it though because Vlad is fucking tricky with like getting videos struck. But fuck it, let's do it. Let's see. I want y'all to hear what he says about Durk being indicted and him knowing.
And Doug.
Okay, here's what you want to do. Save hundreds with Liberty Mutual custom.
Faction of the Gangster Disciples. And that is what they said was
Modus operandi.
the defendant's modus operandi is clear. He'll use his power, his money, his influence.
Wrong video. Okay, it's this one right here. Sorry.
Doing life in prison, Drew Finley.
Even if you have the shooter not talking to Durk. The Young Dolph situation
It'll be a little hard to
we have an agreement that if you have received the money,
Yeah. Right. So if Vonnie or Didi basically said to the job.
Yeah, Drew Finland, he has a hard task on his hand. Let me tell you, feds from Chicago are going to be helping out. Right before the YSL thing happened, I talked to some people in Atlanta. They said, oh, Durk about to get big indictment out here. And I said, Atlanta, because Durk had moved out to Atlanta for a while. And by the way, everybody keeps hearing, he even rapped about the shoot that happened at his house. There's a lot more that's really behind that.
Oh.
And the police were looking at Durk. So again, this is the context I think everybody watching to remember this. The police felt like Durk been beating their ass. They wanted him in Chicago, never got sizable time.
I ain't fucking with Vlad. I ain't gonna like watch too much of his video. But let's watch that. Let's see if there's any videos on like Durk shooting any rumors about that or anything. Durk home shooting. What really happened? Let's see if any YouTubers got videos on this. Just give us some sort of idea of what could have possibly happened. What the fuck? They got the whole shootout video? I didn't know that. No way. This can't be it. Nah, this can't be it. That's because that would have to be. Nah, this is some BS. This is not the video, gang. This is not the video. Hold on. Let's look at the comments right here. Oh yeah, clickbait as hell, bro. Hey, they got me though. They clickbait the fuck out of me. They got me. They got a view for me. Let's see. Man, I don't think I can find really.
Chicago drill has influenced the entire world, but all the hype and violence surrounding the genre has brought a lot of negative attention to some of its leading voices. Lil Durk and King Von are two of the most popular figures to emerge from the Chicago drill scene, but they've also had to go through a lot because of their celebrity and gang affiliations. King Von ended up getting killed and beefing with another rapper, and now it seems like some old street beef is coming back up. Lil Durk has lost countless people in his crew to gun violence, and now he's allegedly been involved in a shootout that led to his house being raided by the FBI. Here's the whole story. Despite having gone through some ups and downs in his career, Lil Durk has outlasted many of his ops and established himself as one of the most respected rappers in drill. Durk was part of the OG wave of Chicago drill artists who created the genre along with Chief Keef and other artists from the South Side, and has continued to change his sound to fit the times and grow as an artist. He's also a genuine street dude who's respected. Newski was shot and killed back in 2022.
Man, we ain't going through all that. Basically, what they saying is like it's more to Durk's home shootout than what really happened. I wonder if they're like trying to allude to like the Stefan Mac thing, like something that had something to do with that, or like Durk possibly not paying for one of the murders, because supposedly the murder against the person who supposedly killed his brother, dude never got paid. I guess one dude got paid and then he skirted off and stopped responding. But that shouldn't have been on Durk. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it at all. Anyways, we gonna go. That's it for that. Pretty much, yeah. Durk been denied bond. Bro's not gonna be free, bro. He's not gonna be free. So let's check out this Ynw Melly situation. Ynw Melly, it seems like he begged for bond. I didn't watch this, but let's see.
As the court has repeatedly pointed out, Mr. Demons is charged with the death penalty. Many countries in the world will not extradite back to the United States if they are facing the death penalty here. So the risk of flight for him is actually greater because it is going to be much more difficult to recover him should he leave the jurisdiction.
Ynw Melly's high-profile retrial is just 4 months away, but the defense is hoping to get him out of jail on bond before that happens.
6 years ago, spent 6 years of his birthdays in that jail. The last 3 years that he's spent in that jail, he has been deprived of basic human needs.
I was actually like going to make a video on Ynw Melly being denied bond, and I was like watching some of his court proceedings, bro, and his lawyers, like, they didn't seem prepared at all for this bond hearing. Like, just from the little bit that I watched, like, I'll probably pull up a video, pull up something like the video I was editing when I was going to drop it, because I still have it saved, and it's this weird ass face that his fucking judge made. I mean, his lawyer makes that like pisses off the judge.
Basically.
I'm Elizabeth Milner with Law and Crime. Jamel Dimmons, aka Ynw Melly, has been in a Florida jail since his arrest in 2019, so more than 6 years ago. And in that 6 years, Melly went on trial, which ended in a mistrial after a hung jury. And despite facing 2 charges of capital murder,
that's why we're here today.
It was a packed courtroom this week, mainly of Melly's family, when the Florida rapper appeared before a Broward County judge. And before the judge heard arguments about why Melly should or shouldn't be allowed the chance for bond, the judge heard from the lawyer of the victims' families first.
I think the victims, the family members, just wanted us to at least place an objection on the record. Let their feelings be known. Of course, under Marcy's law, they have that right. And so we followed that objection just so Your Honor knows what their position is, what our position is here, that we would be, the family members would be objecting to any release in this case.
The defense tried to call a witness to the stand to testify at Tuesday's hearing. It was Dr.
Somebody had said, when I saw on Facebook that bro had got denied for, I mean, he had got accepted bond for like $500K for one of his charges. It was like, bro's been in there for so long and he's so stressed out, he done tore out his dreads.
Heather Holmes, a forensic psychologist, but the state wasn't about to let that happen.
We're going to be objecting to Dr. Holmes' testimony just because she was noticed in the state less than 36 hours ago. She's going to be testifying as an expert. We don't know what documents she was relying upon. We don't know what materials she was given to review. We've been provided no reports, nor do we know the substance of her testimony.
When was she listed as a witness?
She was listed, I believe, Friday evening after we had hired her. The state wants to take a 10-minute break. We can talk to her. There was no report.
I didn't go to college right after high school, and now I have this.
Yeah, like they asked him for a 10-minute break and shit. Like, y'all didn't come prepared. Why do you need a 10-minute break? Like, come on, be real.
Stop. Okay. You listed her Friday afternoon.
I believe so.
Okay.
Your Honor, I can tell you the court filing came in and it's on Odyssey from
Okay.
about Sunday evening.
So you don't want her testimony to be considered today in the evidence?
We're fine bifurcating once we, have enough time to know what she's going to testify to, know what she relied upon, have time to look into that. But today, with, as Mr. Griffith said, less than 36 hours, we're not at all prepared to have an expert testify.
Is she in fact testifying as an expert?
She is testifying as to basically the second portion of my motion. Then 2 other security guards on the property to basically secure the premises of the property of the house and the house. They would be reporting if there was any infractions.
So this is them basically like offering the judge what they would do if he will offer them bond, like offering security, possibly a cash bond. I heard that Ynw Melly's actual label said whatever bond they pull up for him, then they'll post it for him because they need him out here to make that much money for them, right?
Mr. Dimmons.
And like, do you know how crazy it would be for like the Ynw Melly fans and like the hip hop community if he was to go and get an actual bond release? He's gonna do numbers. Shit's gonna go crazy.
They would be reporting directly to myself, the rest of the legal team, the state attorney, and to the court. So you basically have your own deputy, paid deputy, with him. Mr. Dimmons is not a flight risk. He does not possess a passport. I don't even believe he has a driver's license at this time. We can assure his presence at trial. He's been here every hearing. He will be here.
He's been here every hearing. I don't think he really had a choice to be there every hearing. He's been in jail. Like, I don't think that you could be like, nah, I want to go to court today.
Every hearing. He would have a monitor on him. The court would know where he would be at. There would not be any concern, actually, with him not being at court because you know where he's at all the time. My proposal with the security on, with the GPS tracking, basically house arrest, it would effectively prove conditions of release can protect the public from risk of physical harm. Given the singular event that Mr. Dimmons is being accused of, it was not like, and I was looking at the different case law when we're talking about danger to the community. Most of the times dealing with a drug dealer and you're in fear of him coming out and still dealing drugs to the community. That's not the issue here. Again, it was a singular event. If there was a concern.
What is she trying to argue? You see the judge's face? The judge is like rolling his eyes and shit. Like, what are you talking about? Like, if he was a drug dealer, he would be able to, like, what? Like, bro's being charged for a double homicide. A double homicide. I don't understand what like argument she's trying to bring up here.
For public safety, I think I would meet that concern when we would with our stipulation to the house arrest, the prohibition of firearms, and the ankle monitor. I think we could secure that there is no threat to the harm.
So GPS tracking, a 24/7 security guard, money to post bond, that pretty much sums up what the defense is offering. But Melly is also charged with witness tampering, something the judge will likely take into consideration. But the defense had an answer for that too.
That case was very convenient. It was filed while we were pending our last motion for bond, and it does affect the integrity. You recently heard our motions. I was trying to lift the state to argue that C4 motion. The only person my client has been accused of tampering with was Mariah Hamilton. However, going specifically to that statute, it would require Mariah Hamilton was actually summoned to a legal proceeding That legal proceeding is defined by that statute. The only thing that would be applicable was Mr. Demons' trial. Court said it many times. The record is devoid of any proof that Mariah Hamilton was ever under a legal obligation to come to trial. She wasn't. That is the only basis of what the state will argue.
Who is Mariah Hamilton? Is that chick that was his girlfriend or something like that? Is that the one that he's accused of witness tampering on? I'm gonna do some research. Let this ride. I'm gonna do some research.
Is that he's tampering with witnesses.
Tell me out if you're in the chat and you know who Mariah Hamilton is. Is that the girlfriend? Let me know. I think it is though. I'm gonna do some research on the side though. Let this rock.
There's been allegations he tampers with this person, he tampers with that person, but there's no proof of it. We deal with, and I was based off the previous motion, not written by the state. Based off the true facts, there's not been any tampering. When we look at these cases, and it was interesting because.
Okay, yeah, I just looked it up. That's his ex-girlfriend. That's what I thought. Okay.
With both the constitutional right to this bail, it does give that exception, except for people who are facing death penalty or capital crimes, lifetime crimes, right? And you go to the next provision that says, hey, if you appeal something, you automatically have that right, except if you're charged with a capital crime. So I did some research on that. And the whole basis for it, because there was a case that came later, and my apologies, I didn't write down the site on it, but it goes on to explain that you would not have been given a right, i.e. the right to bail, and then a certain class of people denied bail under that same provision. And they go on further to explain in the history of it, is that initially when somebody was faced with a penalty of life in prison, they feared that that person would abscond or they would flee. Mr.
Boy, yeah, hell yeah, they think you're gonna flee, bro. I heard something about if you put, don't quote me on this. I never been on ankle monitor. I don't know how that shit work. But if you put foil over an ankle monitor, then they can't get your location. Don't quote me on this. I don't know. But if I was Melly and they would let me out, bro, I would have tried it at least. I would have put foil on my ankle monitor and I would have been out of there. I would have been to Cuba. And I prosecuted me, what? And I would be making hella music in Cuba.
Mr. Demons knew he was going to be charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. At 19, he could have ran, could not, did anything. He did the right thing, Judge, and he turned himself in. I believe February 13, 2019. 6 years ago. Spent 6 years of his birthdays in that jail.
I don't know, man. If I got the money to get the fuck up out of here, man, I'm getting the fuck up out of here, bro. I don't know about y'all, but if my money long enough for me to make it somewhere else where there's no extradition treaty, I'm getting the fuck up out of here, bro. I'm getting the fuck up out of here.
The last 3 years that he's spent in that jail, he has been deprived of basic human needs, basically. He's currently housed in a situation that's 23-1.
Counsel, I hate to interrupt you, but there's...
Yo, the judge look like he's not going for none of this shit, bro. He look like he ain't going for none of what she talking about, bro. I can tell just like from like if I didn't know from off the back that he got denied bond, just watching this right here and how the judge is just like his body language, I would already know, okay, yeah, bro, fuck, he ain't getting no bond.
There's no evidence of that. Okay. The lawyers don't give evidence. So if you want to present some evidence, I read that in your pleadings, but there's nothing in front of me about what his current conditions are in the jail, so I can't consider it.
Okay, good.
You're just saying it, so go ahead.
So
I heard that like they didn't give him access to dental care or some shit like that. She should have brought that up.
The conditions in the jail.
Yo, what's up, XXX? How you doing? Thank you for joining the stream.
Aren't good. He's been there 6 years, Judge. The Constitution says everybody gets the presumption of innocence. 6 years. We're going now past 6 years. He has substantial ties to the community. See his mom, his grandma, his sister, his brother, his friends, his grandpa. They're all here supporting him. There are special conditions that we can put in place to protect those 3 things. To make sure he's present here. To make sure there's no harm and the integrity of the judiciary. I don't have any evidence before you. We were precluded of putting my witness on. He has no risk of flight, though, Judge. I don't think there's anywhere in this world that Mr. Demmons could go at this point without being known. There is no danger to the community. This was an insulated incident that he's being accused of.
It don't matter if it's an insulated incident. Bro, he's on the hook for double murder. You couldn't come up with nothing else to present to the judge, no other verbiage, no other proof that he would no longer be a danger to society besides being on the ankle monitor. I mean, I guess that's a good, a plausible thing. They always know where he's at, but that doesn't stop anybody from doing nothing. Like, you can be on ankle monitor and still shoot a whole fucking neighborhood up, but they'll just know that you did it because you was over there. But it doesn't mean that that's going to stop that from happening. So that doesn't lessen him as a danger to the community. If I was Melly, I'll hire some new lawyers. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how that stuff works, bro.
But again, I believe the special conditions that we put in place would protect the public from any risk of harm. They would also assure his presence at trial. And again, we would be protecting the integrity of the court, of the judiciary. And I believe we have met it. The state has not presented to us any reasons or any special conditions that would say that he should not be eligible for a bond. And I will also just point out that the whole purpose of bond is not to punish the defendant, it's to assure their presence at trial. That's the whole basis, is to make sure they're coming to court, make sure they're showing up to trial, and they're not absconding. I believe there is enough before this court that the court can safely rely that he's not a flight risk, he will be in court, and the community will be protected.
And what was the state's response? Well,
the defendant's charged with homicide. He's killed 2 people, so he's clearly proven himself.
Allegedly.
He is.
Please.
What the fuck did I just say? What the fuck did I just say? I just said, bro, he's on the hook for double homicide. He allegedly killed 2 people. Why the fuck would he not be a danger to the community? Bro, that took me out. I'm sorry.
He's already established that he presents a danger to the community, but not only that, he attempted to tamper with witnesses while in custody. It's actually the reason Mr. Henry is back in custody, because he did have a bond and that bond was revoked. Had Mr. Demmons been on bond, his bonds obviously would have been revoked and he'd be back in custody as well, because there is probable cause that a new crime was committed. But to say that there's, and I'm not going to litigate the C4 motion, but to say there's no.
Right, I ain't never on the prosecutor's side. The prosecutor cooking right now, bro. He cooking up some. He cooking up some curry right now, because what the fuck? Look how she look. Look how fucking Ynw Melly lawyer look at that, bro. Yo, there's some funny ass facial expressions in this goddamn trial, bro.
Evidence is also not an accurate statement. There are videos, jail calls, kites all recovered that are part of the 23 case. So I don't think it's accurate to say that there's no evidence supporting the fact that he tampered or attempted to tamper with a witness. And finally, saying that there is nowhere that he can go that.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car.
Don't give a fuck.
Okay, you ready?
Nope.
All right, $118.
Don't give give a fuck. Yo, but that's so funny that the prosecutor said exactly what the fuck I said, bro.
That he's not known. That's not the concern. The concern is if he goes somewhere where he cannot be returned. As the court has repeatedly pointed out, Mr. Demmons is charged with the death penalty. Many countries in the world will not extradite back to the United States if they are facing the death penalty here. So the risk of flight with him is actually greater because it is going to be much more difficult to recover him should he leave the jurisdiction.
Bro, prosecutor is cooking. Melly, you need a new legal defense. I'm telling you, bro. Look at the judge's face. Yeah, I'm making a good point.
May I respond, Judge?
Okay, last word. Go ahead.
So, as to your comment, in light of my client's popularity, we opted not to put somebody on to give you the address of where he'd be living at. We were going to proffer. I would give that in camera as far as where he would.
Hold on. Hold the fuck on. Hold the fuck on. No, the fuck you did not, James Johnson, just call me baby girl. No, the fuck you didn't. Ain't no way on God's fucking fucking green earth that you just call me baby girl. Get the fuck on. What the hell?
Live at. He would be residing with his sister and with his brother. I can give you the address. We would have the security detail. All of that can be given to you in camera. As far as the second amount, his record label would be if there was a monetary bond in place. His record label is agreeing to put the monetary bond up for him. So the financials would be covered because it would be coming from his record label. He is actually duly employed. He has a recording contract. He would be able to work and have a source of income. And we'd have conditions in place to ensure. As far as what the state's arguing that they're afraid he would flee, I again think we alleviate any concerns when I put security on him. It would be essentially a private cop monitoring him 24 hours a day and another individual monitoring the property. They would be reporting back to not only the defense team, but to the state attorney and to the court if there is any.
Yo, a lot of these fucking lawyers be trying to take that young boy out. Like, hey, 24-hour security, all that. Like, I've seen a lot of them put up that, but I only seen young boy able to get that type of fucking, like, treatment. But, again, not on the hook for double
issue. Again, the ankle monitor is being monitored. I have other clients on GPS, and I promise you, within minutes of them not being where they're supposed to be at, somebody is at their house checking on them. So to say that there is concern that Mr. Demmons, while being on house arrest and a GPS tracking monitor, had abscond to another country is basically ludicrous, Judge. It's an impossibility. It cannot happen. We have met the factors coming under those three different combined statutes. It's protecting the community, protecting the integrity of the judiciary, and basically making sure that he shows up to court. I believe we have proffered enough for the court to basically be able to rely on the fact that he meets those factors. The state has not raised any additional factors that would say, all right, he's not eligible for the bond.
Despite a packed courtroom, likely hoping the judge would make his decision right then.
Bro, they made a fucking stellar reason. He's on the hook for it. That's all you need. That's all fuck you need, bro. Only thing is, yeah, he had a mistrial. Due to the mistrial, he's been in jail for 6 more years. So he maybe should have been granted bond, but bro, double homicide is crazy.
And in there, Judge Fine instead is going to hand down his ruling in the next few days. But the bond issue wasn't the only matter brought up in court on Tuesday. A lot of the other arguments had to deal with what will be admitted into evidence during Melly's retrial. Because remember, there was a different judge on Melly's first trial.
As to the first motion to suppress the T-Mobile records, that was denied. The cell phone location records where the defendant was that day, with his phone moving around, that remains in evidence. As to the second warrant, the Twitter account that was granted in part, the past events from leading up to the homicide were suppressed, which means the admission that was made.
So, Theodore, his bond, he got bond for 1 of 6 charges. So yeah, basically in a nutshell, his bond was definitely denied. But this is the bond hearing right now, so like you'll basically hear him saying if it's approved or denied. But yeah, his bond got denied.
Made on Twitter is kept in, but the aggravators relating to the defender's activity and belonging with gangs and his gang membership, that would be out. As to as to number 3, the iCloud, that was granted in part. I think we noted that there was nothing of import there, so we weren't using anything from that, or we didn't recover anything from that.
Okay, so they're not using his iCloud. He's not using his gang affiliation. What? Oh, they had that ballistics though. That ballistic is just crazy.
To the Snapchat, that was granted in part, again, the day of the homicide, so the location information, the communication records from that day remain in. The messages from the defendant's ex-girlfriend, Mariah Hamilton, those occurred afterwards. Those would be out, but those were not introduced in the first trial. We do intend to use them, but those were not in the first trial.
Justin, when you say out, I don't understand. I just want to make sure.
Out. Mariah Hamilton's text message.
When you say out.
Out, as in they're not in evidence. They were suppressed.
Oh,
it's subject to suppression. It's subject to suppression.
I want to make sure out that it was suppressed. Thanks.
As to number 5, the Google records, that was denied. As to 6, the Facebook account, that was granted in part. Physical location, FaceTime info, connection information, photos from the homicide up to when the warrant was suppressed on January, or when the warrant was applied for January 8th, that remains in. So what the state lost there potentially are photographs related to gang-related activity, the defendant's membership in gangs, as well as some comments and communications about the defendant promoting the promotional video, which is also subject to the appeal because we argued adoption by admission because he was promoting that video. But all those communications were after January 8th, or at least some of them were, I think. The Instagram, which was number 7, it's effectively the same thing as the Facebook, the gang activity. Number 8, the T-Mobile records, the real-time location information, that was denied. Number 9, the T-Mobile records for historic location information as to the defendant, that was denied. Number 10 is moot because it was the wrong phone. The detective got a new warrant. Number 11, the defendant's iPhone, it was granted in part from the date of the homicide up to February 13th. So we obviously kept anything that was backed up to that phone, including the pin drop information, some notes, some text messages in reference to gang activity. But what we also was suppressed were some of the notes and text messages from the past relating to gang activity. Where'd it go? Number 12, the Google accounts. There were 2 accounts. We lost everything prior to the homicide was suppressed. That includes gang-related information as well as the gang Bible that was recovered from his account. And in number 13, which is what Ms. Collins was checking, the Ynw booking. I actually didn't know offhand what was actually suppressed from that, but I believe it's more gang-related stuff. So effectively what was suppressed was a lot of the stuff the state would be using for aggravators.
With the cell site location information.
Oh, okay. So I get what they're saying. So like they basically had to suppress all the stuff that would make like an aggravating factor, like he did it, because they was trying to say like he was trying to do it to what is it, like enhance his position in the game. How the hell did he use that verbiage? I can't remember what they actually say, but like he did it for something for the gang. I can't remember what the hell they use. But basically, to up his position in the gang, basically, he killed his 2 friends to do that. So they suppressing that evidence.
Remains
from October the 26th, 2018. None of that was suppressed.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's my summary. They disagree because I was trying to prepare this for today's hearing. I didn't have the time to go through every piece of evidence.
Okay.
I think it was the same of what I said.
Hey, Theodore, thanks for your support. I mean, what I think about the case. Shoot, man. Honestly, I think Melly, he was gonna be found guilty in that first one. If you do your research on it, they say that one of Melly's fans was actually one of the jurors, and they refused to give him a guilty. So like they couldn't come to a unanimous decision. They needed all the jurors to be like, he's guilty. So that's why the mistrial was granted. So this trial, if they vet the jurors better, possibly put a whole bunch of old people in the jury that don't know nothing about Ynw Melly, then most likely he's going to be cooked, bro, because those ballistics is crazy. Like the way that they try to say that there was a drive-by, but it's no indication that it was a drive-by. Like all the shots came from inside the car. So who else was in the car if it was just him, Borland, and Borland was in the front seat driving? The ballistics doesn't show that it came from the driver's seat. It shows it came from the back. So like just that alone right there, bro. Like if they show that to the prosecutors, then yeah, he's gonna be cooked, bro. He's gonna be cooked. And I don't really rock with his lawyers. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think his lawyers do a good job at all.
But just to go to a step further so the court understands, I agree with what the state had proffered as far as what's suppressed. Going to what specific witnesses testified to what we agreed was suppressed.
What if the lottery was on your phone?
I don't play the fucking lottery, so I don't give a damn. Biggest scam in the world, yeah.
The majority of the testimony from Danny Pula would be out. He testified to a lot of the photographs of Mr. Dimmon's phones that predated, as Mr. Griffiths has said, the booking, the YNW booking, Gmail had a gang Bible sent, some gang talk sent to that Gmail. All of that is out because it predates the murders. That is most of what Danny Pula testified to. The second witness who would have testified to certain messages, maybe with Mariah Hamilton, Detective Mark Moretti testified to a substantial amount of text messages that would now be suppressed. So I believe we said close to half a day where he just read text messages off of the screen. Most of that would be out.
How about the text messages from October 26th? Were there any?
Those would remain in. As far as his phone is concerned, it was granted in part from the date of the homicide to February 13th remains in.
So what does all the legal back and forth really mean? Essentially, the state still argues they have a strong enough case, even with some of the suppressed evidence out.
We believe that proof evidence still remains strongly present because, as the court was noting, all the information from the day of the homicide remains. So the vast majority of the evidence that was introduced at the previous trial remains available to the state. What the state effectively lost, as I summarized, were a lot of the enhancers that were used, such as the gang activity, some of the information that goes to motive. But for the day of the homicide, the ballistics that shows that the shots were fired from inside the vehicle, the fact that Mr. Henry lied about the events, which was corroborated by the locations that were determined where the shooting actually took place.
Just like I said, like all the stuff that I just stated before on my opinion on why I think he's cooked, like all the evidence that he's explaining right now, the ballistics being one of the major factors, like the ballistics, all of it shows that it came from inside of the car. Like there's nobody else. And then they have him on video walking into the car, so they know for sure that nobody else was in the car besides them four. So who else shot him? There's no shell casings outside of the car or in the glass. When you shoot inside of a car, the glass is going to go inside of the car. There's going to be some glasses left over on the floor and stuff like that too. I don't think they recovered any like glass unless Melly and them shot from outside the car afterwards. But then again, even if they did do that, which I think they made a point to as well, that it was some shots that went inside of them after they were already dead. Because like when you shoot, you can tell when somebody is shot when they're alive and shot after they already been deceased. I can't really explain it too in detail how you can tell a difference, but look it up though. Like you can definitely tell how a gunshot looks when it's like, or how a gunshot affects the body when a person is alive and their blood is actually pumping to where they're actually dead and their blood is no longer like pumping through their system.
The shell casings that were recovered, the fact that the defendant's phone was traveling with the two deceased in this case along with them and then separated prior to Mr. Henry going to the hospital. The admission on Twitter that the defendant made where he said, "I did that." all that stuff that relates to the homicide, to the direct evidence for the guilt portion, remains in evidence.
So that I did that part right there, that's kind of like a vague statement, like a vague ass statement. I don't think that he's dumb enough, or hopefully he ain't dumb. I mean, he was dumb enough to shoot him inside the car and thinking he had staged it, but I wouldn't push shit past nobody, bro.
So effectively, nothing has really effectively changed other than some of the arguments the state can present to the jury in terms of both aggravators and motive.
So before I hear the defense's argument, based on their written pleadings, I suspect they're going to get up and tell me that since the jury didn't find him guilty of these, that's beyond a reasonable doubt. You weren't able to do that to the jury. So you're now asking me to find a higher standard that is proof evidence presumption great. So do you have any response to that?
My response would be is that it was a hung jury, and my understanding is that 11 of the jurors were ready to convict.
I have to object to that.
I have no.
Yeah, like I just said, like it was 11 jurors and just one of them, who was a Ynw Melly fan, refused to give him a guilty. So that's why they came with that hung jury.
Idea with this.
That it was a hung jury, and we don't know what their decision was.
It was, Judge, I have to object to the characterization that we don't know. It was mistried because they couldn't unanimously decide.
Bro, sound like he needs some water, bro. Take a look at Melly's face, like, bruh, you alright? You about to? Are you gonna like be able to live to the rest of this fucking proceeding?
Which is the standard by which somebody is found guilty or innocent. So,
I'm not considering votes. It was a mistrial. I got it. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
As I always say, we'll see what comes out of this and what happens next. Melly's retrial is expected to begin this fall. Ynw Melly's next court hearing is slated for late June. As for his retrial, that's set to start on September.
Yeah, so that's it for right now, bro. Like, oh man, so Durk's bail denied, Ynw Melly's bail denied. Man, it's looking spooky out here for these artists, bro. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, like I said, please subscribe. If you're watching this later on, leave a comment down below what you think. Everybody who joined me in the chat, thank you. I'll catch you on the next one. I promise I'm gonna start streaming a little bit more if y'all like this type of content. Peace out.